As our guests make their way to the auditorium, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Lucy Mbabazi. I will be your Master of Ceremonies this morning. We welcome once again to the inaugural Smart Africa Women Summit at this Transform Africa. We will shortly be welcoming our guests of honor. We'll then hear remarks from a few of our distinguished guests. We'll then have a panel shortly after those remarks. And the end of the session will be the crowning of the first ever Miss Geek Africa, what I like to call the Geek Olympics. So please be patient, and I'll be calling on you to rise when our guests of honor arrive. Thank you. We welcome you to the inaugural Smart Women Summit. Welcome Her Excellency, Madame Jeannette Kagame, Her Excellency First Lady of Mali, Mrs. Aminata Keita, Her Excellency First Lady of Sao Tome, Mrs. Nana Trovoada, and the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, Mrs. Inonge. Welcome once again. Please, you may be seated. Your Excellency, First Lady of Rwanda, Mrs. Jeannette Kagame, Your Excellency, First Lady of the Republic of Mali, Mrs. Aminata Keita, Your Excellency, First Lady of Sao Tome, Mrs. Nana Trovoada, Your Excellency, Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, Mrs. Inonge Wina. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Welcome to this inaugural Smart Africa Women Summit at the Transform Africa Summit. This is, I think, a great milestone for us to have a platform where we shall be discussing how we can bridge the digital gender divide. As I mentioned previously, we are going to have a few remarks and we will then have a panel discussion, after which we shall crown the first ever Miss Geek Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the Honorable Minister of Gender and Family Planning of Rwanda to give her welcoming remarks. Welcome, Honorable Esperance Nyirasafari.
Thank you. Her Excellency, Vice President of Zambia, Her Excellency, First Lady of Rwanda, and our guest of honor, Excellencies, First Ladies here present, Honorable Executive Director of UN Women, Honorable Ministers present here, the Executive Director, Smart Africa Secretariat, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to this first ever Africa Smart Women's Summit, which is brand new stream of the overall Transform Africa Summit. To us, interveners in the sector of women and girls' empowerment, we are very excited and full of enthusiasm to take this new initiative fast forward. Indeed, Smart Africa goals cannot be achieved without the involvement of women and girls. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the overarching goal of the Smart Africa Women and Girls Initiative is to accelerate governments to put in place systematic national mechanisms to bridge the gender digital divide and attain parity in the access and usage of ICT, make it affordable for all, improve skills so that women and girls become competitive in the digital labor market, as well as promote girls in STEM-related fields. A number of discussions at continental level have been held in regards to including a component on women and girls into the broader Smart Africa agenda, and this has been supported by the commitment of the African heads of state and governments to accelerate sustainable socio-economic development through ICTs as embedded in the Smart Africa Manifesto, which was endorsed in Kigali in October 2013. Today marks the start of convening the Smart Africa Women's Summit as exciting new session that will bring to the forefront strategic interventions and recommendations to be pursued to empower women and girls in ICT. In order to push this agenda fast forward, therefore, a process to craft the Smart Africa Women and Girls Declaration was initiated and allowed time for various stakeholders, including governments, offices of Africa First Ladies, the academia, and the private sector to input to it. Yesterday marked yet another memorable occasion where the said declaration was further discussed and improved for endorsement, and it highlights the following three principles. Principle number one is to increase access, affordability, and safety of technology for women and girls. Principle number two, empower women and girls with digital skills. Principle number three, to increase the participation of women and girls in STEM. In order to realize these principles, a lot has to be done, such as combating cultural norms around our cities, as well as the promotion of positive masculinity, mentorship programs, inclusiveness of women with special needs, such as those with disabilities, knowledge transfer and cross-country exchanges, research and collection of disaggregated data, just to name few. A strong monitoring and evaluation mechanism is key in this journey. Your Excellencies, we governments present here commit to take the lead in implementing the said declaration of the Smart Africa Women's Declaration. However, we recognize that we cannot move on and get there on our own. I therefore call upon our dear partners, the private sector, international and national organizations, academia, to join the journey and implement the said principles of the declaration, which was given a beautiful name yesterday, the Kigali Africa Smart Women and Girls Declaration. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Esperance Nyirasafari, Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, Republic of Rwanda. I would like to congratulate you and all those that are involved in putting together this fantastic initiative that will be hopefully growing the number of women and girls in science, technology, engineering, and math. Now I would like to welcome Karen Bartleson, President, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, to please come and give her remarks. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, heads of state and governments, vice presidents, prime ministers, Your Excellency, First Lady of the Republic of Rwanda, Mrs. Jeanette Kagame, Your Excellencies, First Ladies here present, honorable ministers, your worships, mayors of various cities, Your Excellencies, ambassadors and high commissioners, CEOs and heads of institutions, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Good morning, everyone. It is truly my honor to be here at the Smart Africa Women's Summit in Rwanda as part of the Transform Africa Summit. This is my first visit to Rwanda and my first visit to Africa. I can say that the experiences I have had so far have transformed me. I am here representing IEEE, the world's largest technical professional organization, with more than 420,000 members in 190 countries. In Africa, we have about 6,000 members across the continent. Our members are leading technologists dedicated to advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. I am also here to have the opportunity to meet all of you exceptional women who are participating in and attending this inaugural event, the Smart Africa Women's Summit. We are all part of a rising and essential community, one that is vitally important to the success of this initiative. Because now, more than ever, when young women and girls around the world are exploring the educational and professional possibilities in front of them, they are increasingly seeing role models in science and engineering that remind them of themselves. All of us here today are part of that dynamic community of role models. Growing up, I did not have any idea what the term engineering meant. To be honest, I had never even heard of it. But I was fascinated by how things work. A car was a marvel to me. Put gas in the tank, turn the key, step on the pedal, and go. I asked my father, how does a car work? He said, girls don't need to know that. It was a sign of the times. Or perhaps he did not know how a car worked either. The more I learned about engineering, the more it interested me as it combined the elements of math, science, and problem solving to create useful things for the world. I was captivated. This is why engineering is so appealing to me, because we can really do what IEEE's motto states. We can advance technology for the benefit of humanity. Every day, we as engineers and scientists improve the way that people communicate, work, travel, stay healthy, and entertain themselves. We build buildings and bridges. We develop new products. We solve climate change and bioengineering problems. If you love math and science, you can do amazing things for the world, and that is appealing to both women and men. Technological innovation is the principal driver for improvements in the quality of life and economic prosperity, and the engineering profession is central to this innovation. A well-qualified engineering workforce, supported by the infrastructure and resources necessary to meet the needs of the population, will be at the heart of Africa's digital transformation. The need for greater engineering capacity is widely recognized across the African continent. Yet, can we really afford to squander the talents and abilities of half the population simply because they are female? Of course we cannot. That is why there is no such thing as too much support for STEM education and encouraging participation by our young women and girls. There is no such thing as too much time spent on exploring new possibilities to advance technology for the benefit of humanity. And most importantly, there is no such thing as too much support for women in leadership roles in the classroom, the boardroom, and the corridors of governmental power. At IEEE, we believe young professionals, male and female, are the key drivers of tomorrow's innovations and are integral to advancing technology for humanity. IEEE strives to bring together at a local level those technological innovators who have a desire to learn, collaborate, and give back to their community. Our members, half of whom are outside of the United States, are a diverse international community with technology professionals of every race, every creed, and every color. All are welcome. All are respected, regardless of nationality, ethnicity, religion, or gender. And all are contributing in countless ways to moving technology forward across the spectrum of fields of interest. IEEE recognizes the opportunity to assist in cultivating greater engineering capacity in Africa to advance technology and innovation. We are committed to providing educational support and technical development to the engineering profession throughout Africa. Our world, despite myriad advances in technology that the last century has brought with it, still needs to be changed for the better. Too many people do not have access to clean water, or reliable energy, or health care, or the internet. Not everyone has the opportunity to achieve their full potential through access to education. Technology can overcome these challenges. It always has. And at no other point in history have we had more opportunities available to us to improve our world. In fact, I am proud to announce that IEEE has recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the new Partnership for Africa's Development, also known as NEPAD. IEEE will be assisting in the delivery of the African Development Agenda of the NEPAD agency for the attainment of the African Union Agenda 2063 and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. IEEE will work together with NEPAD agency on initiatives focused on workforce development throughout engineering capacity building and educational activities, technical, scientific, and engineering policy development, and research and development to increase access to technical information. Developing a strong engineering workforce requires a robust educational system that begins with primary school and continues through the transition of recent university graduates into the workforce. We must ensure that the next generation of female scientists and engineers are a priority in that system and have access to the same resources and opportunities as their male counterparts. As engineers and scientists, we have the opportunity every day to engage in efforts to change our world for the better. What truly inspires me is that I believe our best world will be built by our young women and girls, particularly those just discovering their passion for engineering and science at the pre-university level. They are our bridges to tomorrow. And the tomorrow they see is a global one. They do not focus on what divides people, but what unites them. They do not care where you came from. They care about the ideas you are bringing to the collaborative work that you are engaged in. They do not erect borders. They overcome barriers. They do not discriminate. They embrace differences. They care about humanity and how the technology they are working on can benefit our global community. In closing, I wish to inspire all of us to continue to use our abilities to help support one another and strive towards our shared mission by reading one of my favorite quotes from a famous US statesman. Never doubt that you are valuable and powerful and deserving of every chance and opportunity in the world to pursue and achieve your own dreams. Within the global technical community, we are all valuable. Our abilities as individuals, coupled with our strength as collaborators, makes us powerful. Together, we will pursue and achieve the dream of a better tomorrow for Africa and all humanity. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Karen. We will be looking to you for mentors as we build a strong cohort of smart women and girls in Rwanda. Next, the Executive Director, the Undersecretary General of the UN and Executive Director of UN Women, Mrs. Pumzile Mlambo Duka, will be coming up to give her remarks. Before she does that, as she comes up, could you please play that video to set the scene for her speech? Thank you.
Let's clap for Alam, for her tears. Excellency, Madam Jeanette Kagame, First Lady of Rwanda, and First Ladies present here, Excellencies, Vice President, Ministers, distinguished guests, Dr. Thury, it's a great pleasure for UN Women to be part of this important gathering of incredible Africans. We are here to discuss the growing gender digital gap, which unfortunately has grown in 2013 from 20.7% to 23% in 2016, clearly not going the right direction, which is why we need a forum like this. And you are the people who can help us address this trend. You are also the people who must help us solve the problems of many girls like Ellen. I use this video many times in audiences like this so that we can remind ourselves why we do the work that we do together. It's for girls like this to wipe their tears so that she and her brother and mother can realize their full potential. Entrenched norms at play in that family are a public policy issue. The girl, the boys too, need a different value system, which is why we also have a campaign like He for She that President Kagame is one of the champions of to engage men and boys about equality in society. Clearly, Mom also needs support because she clearly is struggling with the burden of care. Of course, ICT is a critical catalyst in addressing these issues, at least for us in South Africa. When we evaluated the implementation of the Beijing Platform for Action after 20 years, one of the critical challenges that we found in every country, in at least the 168 countries that participated in evaluation, was the strength of cultural norms that kept on holding us back as we're trying to move forward. And what we saw in this clip demonstrate how much what happens in that family can limit Alem's capability to be an engineer. She could drop out, she could marry early, and we will not get the rich pipeline that we need to promote girls in STEM. There's got to be an app for this. To the extent that culture is pervasive, is with us everywhere we go, so is technology. There's got to be a way in which we use technology to solve the problems that we live with, that are part of our society. Africa has to use the knowledge to leapfrog in this digital revolution, taking advantage of the strides already made and continue to unfold with far-reaching consequences. At the same time, we also need to build a solid ground and ensure sustainability of our gains. Being a smart Africans needs to be about creating change that lasts. It needs to be about being globally competitive. It needs to be about being humane. It needs to be about ensuring that in our villages there's a smart mama, there's a smart farmer, there's a smart market woman, there's a smart vendor, and there's a smart girl and boy. Our quest for disruptive change in Africa cannot be about another app that takes pictures of food. It has to be about solving substantive problems in the world. In 2015, when we transited from the Millennium Development Goals. We adopted the Sustainable Development Goals. We adopted a climate change agreement in Paris, and we adopted a financing framework for development, which was adopted in Addis Ababa. All of these agreements make the 2030 agenda. In addition to that, in Africa, we have our Agenda 2063. These two important agendas are about addressing mega trends: inclusive and low carbon economy, poverty, inequality, education. They are also about addressing gender inequality that is steeped in brutal gender-based violence that affects about 750 million women who are alive today. And according to data collected from health practitioners, and these are dentists, mental health practitioners, orthopedic surgeons, trauma specialists, pediatricians, eye specialists, pathologists, and morgues. They tell us from these statistics that women are not safe. So when we focus on creating smart Africa, it has to be about making sure that we make Africa a safe home for women and girls. It also has to be about addressing women's economic empowerment, recognizing that in the near future, 90% of the jobs available will require a certain level of digital literacy. The majority of women who work outside the home are in the informal sector. They are also women who are formally employed, but they are at the bottom of the ladder. They are in caught between the sticky floors below them and the glass ceiling above them, with no prospect of upward mobility. They have no minimum wage, no equal pay, and these are many of the women who also will have the same life as that of Alam's mother. So when we also think about transforming Africa and ensuring that we have got a robust economy that will grow at the pace that is needed, it has to be about addressing our issues at that level. We have to address women in leadership, women in boards, but for Africa to truly transform, it is those women that are at the bottom of the pyramid for whom we need a smart plan. They need money to thrive. They need access to banking. They need data-driven enterprise platforms such as the one we have here in Rwanda with a Buy From Women platform that is an open source and end-to-end cloud-based that connects farmers to markets. Thanks to the collaboration with the First Ladies Imbuto Foundation, World Food Program, the many government departments, and the smart women of Rwanda. We need also universal access to smart IDs to ensure that children, women, and girls can be accounted for so that they are not easily trafficked because they have no identity and we cannot prove that they exist. Our education in Africa is overburdened. We will not fix our education the traditional way. We need to make sure that we use technology, we use virtual learning to complement the many needs that we have in education. It should be possible in our lifetime to make it possible that a girl and a boy, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, as long as they have a device, they can access credible, quality education. They will be able to get on with their lives. We are collaborating with ITU and many other partners to address the issue of access to digital services, of leadership, in the sector to make sure that we increase the number of women that are playing a critical role in the industry. Also, to address and encourage girls to take subjects that will lead them to STEM subjects, to STEM careers. And we would like to collaborate with as many of you as possible so that we can build smart Africa in a comprehensive way in all levels of society. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lambong Chuka. Thank you once again. The UN is a supporter of Miss Geek Africa. They have been with us since the beginning in 2014. And we are proud to have a champion like you at the UN, knowing that Africa is represented there as a voice that will support the growth of the Smart Africa Women and Girls cohort. I would like now to invite Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, Mrs. Inonge Mutukwa Wina, to provide her remarks. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the First Lady of Rwanda, Excellencies, First Ladies, Executive Director of the UN Women, and the Executive Director of the Smart Africa Alliance, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to express gratitude for the warm reception and hospitality extended to me and my entourage since arriving in this beautiful city of Kigali. I want also to state that I'm happy to be given an opportunity to contribute to exchange of views at this very important summit on empowering women and girls in ICT at the Transform Africa Summit. I want to underscore the progress made by Rwanda in achieving gender parity and equity in all spheres of development, especially in ICT, which forms the core of business for this Transform Africa Summit 2017. The Zambian government is eager to learn from Rwanda how it has managed to achieve this milestone, which even the developed countries have not managed. I just want to give you a bit on the Zambia's status of women and girls in science and technology. In the year 2006, the Zambian government put in place a national ICT policy which promotes usage of ICTs among women. Again, in 2014, the national gender policy was revised, focusing on promotion and participation of women and girls in science and technology. Ladies and gentlemen, what I can tell you about what we have observed is that we have found that governments can put in place very good policies. But if these policies are not implemented, and let alone monitoring them, therefore, they are only worth the paper on which they are written on. In Zambia, the Zambia Information and Communication Technology Authority, ZICTA in short, working together with the Central Statistics Office, now undertake regular surveys since 2013 to measure access and use of ICTs and its impact among women and the youth in urban and rural areas. These surveys provide information for police and program interventions. ICT programs at tertiary level in our country are aimed at increasing the number of females in science and technology programs, as well as promoting scientific research and innovation. And in order to increase the number of girls venturing into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields, Zambia has partnered with the World Bank, targeting 14,000 girls at secondary level in 16 districts, and the empowerment of 75,000 women in districts to ensure that the girls from these vulnerable homes can attend school. And government, through the Zambia Information and Communication Technology Authority, supports digital talents, talent shows, where girls showcase their innovations in the field of ICT. ZICTA is also running a program called Girls Be Informed, which involves girls giving talks to their fellow pupils in primary and secondary schools, whereby sensitizing them about the importance of ICTs while encouraging them to consider taking up careers in the field of ICT or start their own businesses. Further, government has made the ICT curriculum implementation in schools compulsory. Now, in all this, we are also acknowledging that there are challenges. So the government of the Republic of Zambia acknowledges that there are still a number of socio-economic challenges to be dealt with in narrowing the digital gender gap. And among these are high levels of illiteracy, especially in rural areas, the cost of ICT equipment, limited access to digital service devices and services, and inadequate infrastructure which impedes connectivity. Inadequate skills to effectively participate in the digital economy. And as the Director for UN Women said, there are still structural and cultural impediments to girls' empowerment, e.g. child marriage. And I'm proud to say and inform the audience that the President of this country, His Excellency Mr. Paul Kagame, is the global champion to stop child marriages. And additionally, my own President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, is also the champion of the He for She campaign to stop early marriages in Africa. So we need men that can stand up for the rights of women. We need men who can challenge the traditional norms and customs and practices to ensure that our girls are not relegated to the sidelines of development. Among the challenges, there is lack of space and platforms to promote for the young women to promote their entrepreneurial business skills and models, as well as lack of financial support. Then what is the way forward to fast-track girls' inclusion in the ICT revolution, in the transformation of Africa? I think there's a lot we have learned from this summit. And among these is political will. In Zambia, political will is there, but we need to enhance it and also instill a sense of urgency in the implementation of these programs. Again, we need to develop an enabling infrastructure. We need investing in capacity building, skills, and developing tailor-made programs, and the continued training of women and girls. We need to promote homegrown solutions in collaboration with the private sector. We also need to continue encouraging young women and girls to invest in creativity, talent development, and innovation. And more importantly, we need enhanced collaboration between state actors and the private sector in order to accelerate digital integration. Let me conclude by saying that investing in girls is investing in the future prosperity of our countries. I thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Vice President of Zambia. Thank you for those remarks. I think they capture the heart of the Smart Women and Girls Declaration, which I hope shall be implemented by the Ministries of Gender, ICT, and Education to really grow the number of smart women and girls in Rwanda. Our next speaker is the leading champion of women and girls in Rwanda, whose Imbuto Foundation has been working for 15 years. I think you should clap for that. For 15 years to elevate girls in education, especially in STEM. She's the First Lady of the Republic of Rwanda. Welcome. Thank you.
Excellency Vice President of Zambia, dear sisters, First Ladies, Honorable Executive Director of UN Women, Honorable Ministers, the Executive Director of Smart Africa Secretariat, President of the IEEE, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Allow me to start by expressing my appreciation for our gathering on this day for the Smart Africa Women's Summit through this exciting platform given to us by Transform Africa Summit to continuously learn how to further embrace and promote smart technologies in the course of the sustainable development of our continent. Through today's important conversation, we, as citizens of the world, are called to leverage our diverse positions to join governmental and non-governmental efforts for the inclusion of our women and girls in the heart of the current ICT revolution. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate everyone here who played a role in the finalization of the Smart Africa Women and Girls Declaration, which is now set for implementation and look forward to everyone's full engagement in the journey to bridge the gender divide and ensure women and girls in Africa actively participate in the digital economy. Distinguished guests, we have seen through time how technology offered itself as a unique way to connect the four corners of the world, and in the process forever changed the way we communicate, the way we work, but most importantly, the way we started devising new strategies to improve livelihood of our communities. So much so that in 2015, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development recognized ICT as a key enabler of development and an essential component of transformative solutions to meet today's development challenges. However, modern society, or the digital age as we know it, continues to show a great digital divide, not only between nations of the North and South, but also from a gender standpoint, as women significantly have lower access to these technologies. Honorable delegates, this summit provides us with another opportunity to learn from one another and set the way forward in narrowing the gender-digital divide by joining our voices and strengths to push forward for the inclusion of our women and girls in ICT. In Rwanda, our relationship with the ICT is fueled by the necessity to contribute to the world's constant need to innovate and create solutions, and therefore remain relevant in these new economies. And thanks to the visionary leadership of this country and its understanding of the place ICT should occupy in our society, Rwanda continues to further invest capital and human resources into this field. It's in this line of reasoning that my country embraced with a keen interest he for she, the UN Women-led campaign championed by President Paul Kagame, who committed to bridging the gender-digital divide and attain parity in ICT access, usage, and innovation by 2020. Our drive to use ICT as a central engine in the transformation of Rwanda into a knowledge-based economy has led us to adopting different programs, such as the One Laptop a Child. Launched in 2007, this program has provided over 270,000 laptops to primary school children and has afforded them the opportunity to discover and strengthen their computer skills. Recognizing the power of ICT to improve livelihoods through increased access to information, products and services, we simply could not ignore the need for platforms that celebrate and encourage more women and girls to pursue that field. For instance, my foundation, Imbuto, conducts a yearly Best Performing Girls campaign as part of the Promotion of Girls Education project, through which girls who complete their secondary education with the highest academic achievements are rewarded with laptops and an ICT training which teaches them how to use and fix computers. Through the foundation, we also reward great professional accomplishment by young Rwandan achievers, including innovative technology platforms that change the digital landscape of our country. This edition of Transform Africa Summit has also highlighted the Miss Geek initiative, which through an annual competition gives young women the opportunity to showcase their ICT-driven solution to a challenge they witness in their communities, and through this process inspires other young women to pursue a career in this field. Other initiatives such as the investment-centered Rugori Fund, which will be presented today by the Rwandan chapter of New Faces, New Voices. The Pan-African organization working for the financial inclusion of women is another innovative approach using digital tools for the economic empowerment of women and girls. Distinguished audience, looking forward, we can see that ICT empowers our women and girls to realize what they too have something to do, to contribute for the communities to fully thrive, while beautifully challenging them to design culturally relevant solutions. However, this path towards total elimination of the gender digital divide will only be made possible if we are able to learn from each other's successful initiatives, while fostering enabling environment characterized by a better access to and affordability of technology, the development of our women's digital skills, even for those with less formal education, and the promotion of women in the STEM fields. As I conclude my remarks, I would like to emphasize once more that we must continue to advocate for ICT to be adopted as a tool for true gender empowerment and equality, whether through new approaches like the Africa Smart Women and Girls Initiative, which is unveiled today, or by adopting resolutions from diverse high-level international forums on the question. Together, let us stay the course for better ICT inclusion at all levels of our society, so members of our communities, regardless of age or gender, can fully benefit from the impact of these new technologies. Together, let us ensure that no one is left behind in this exciting fourth industrial revolution we all should be part of, as it holds great promises for all communities to raise global income levels while improving quality of life around the world. To echo the Executive Director of UN Women, this Smart Africa Women needs indeed an integrated smart plan. It's a call to you, to us, women who have been fortunate to enjoy the rights fortunate to enjoy the rights, to remember to reach out to those many women who have not been equally fortunate. I thank you for your kind attention, and again, wish us all to find ways to implement lessons learned through the enlightening conversations of the past few days and carry them with us well beyond this summit.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those great remarks. I think there is no doubt that we, girls and women in science, technology, engineering, and math in Rwanda are truly privileged to have the support and championing of our visionary leadership by His Excellency President Kagame and Her Excellency the First Lady. There is no question, at least in our minds, that Rwanda is undoubtedly the best place to be a girl. And we women and girls in STEM feel this every day. Next, we have a panel discussion on the great task of bridging the digital gender divide. I would like to welcome our panelists on stage. The moderator, Nanjira Sambuli, Digital Equality Advocacy Manager at the World Wide Web Foundation. Mpule Kwelagobe, Managing Partner, Quest Capital LLC. Doreen Bojgan Martin, Chief of Strategic Planning at the International Telecommunication Union. And Dr. Monique Sanzabaganwa, Vice Governor, National Bank of Rwanda. Welcome, ladies. Sorry. As well as Ms. Sanie Korat, the Director of the Division of Gender Equality at UNESCO. Thank you. Before the panel begins, may I request that you please play that video before we start. Thank you.
Saharan access to financial services. However, there is a gender gap in financial.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, all protocol observed. The task before us on this panel is to highlight some initiatives that align with the Smart Women and Girl Declaration, just to show the work is going on and there's work that many of us can join forces to support and amplify for the women and girls of Africa. So I will start with Dr. Monique to pick up from where the video on New Faces, New Voices was showing us, to just tell us more about how the fund has been journeying through with women to get them to also apply digital skills, and how that has been the experience of that and the progress so far.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. I must say that what has been presented in the video, it's the Rugori Fund, as has been filed with Capital Market Authority, and we hope that in the next 2 weeks or so we'll be able to activate the buying of units, but you can start registering. So the Rugori Fund is contributing to the Kigali Declaration that has just been presented to us, especially in its pillar number 2 of digital skills, in 2 ways, main 2 ways. It's providing an appealing and very relevant content to women, not only women, by the way, because this fund is going to be available for everyone, but we are going to put a special focus on women because we have to bridge a gap. In Rwanda, let me give you an example or a picture of how women stand in financial inclusion. We have close to 3.4 million of adult women, which means age above 16 and above. And 87% of them are financially included. That's really good news, 87%. But not so good news is that 24% are financially included using informal financial channels, like saving groups and so on and so forth. So we are bringing them on board of financial inclusion through this digital platform. And that's really good news to note. On this platform, which is also interactive, we are going to be providing skills, including digital skills, financial and business skills as well. And we think that among beneficiaries of it, there are going to be startups and also some other existing business of women in ICT. We have so many fintech coming up and other companies. So they're going to be among the companies we are going to focus on in the second leg of this fund, once you have mobilized enough resources to kickstart the equity and debt part of it. And we hope that it's going to be sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on right on to Mpule, if we will. Please tell us more about some of the work you're also doing in this field to empower women and girls in ICT.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Later this year, we will launch the Include Her Innovation Center for Women here in Kigali. It will be based in Kigali Innovation City. Our reasoning for doing this is because we feel that women deserve their own space that focuses on innovation. But what do we mean by innovation when we talk about women? We talk about social innovation, we talk about rural innovation, and obviously we talk about technological innovation. But obviously, as we've also seen from New Faces, New Voices, we also talk about financial innovation. In the absence of all those dynamics meeting in a space that is specific to women, that says that you deserve your own space, your innovation does not have to be some high-tech innovation that belongs in Silicon Valley. For that rural woman that wants to start a business that meets the needs of rural women, she has to be able to feel that what she's doing is in fact innovation. And so we want to be able to base ourselves in an ecosystem that is already about innovation. So imagine you have a physical space. Women can come in with their social innovations, but then you can leverage all the technological innovation of young people that are at Carnegie Mellon University, that are at Ames, and I happen to sit on the board of the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences, and obviously the African Leadership University that will also be based in Kigali Innovation City. Being able to bring them together within the space of women and say, first and foremost, let's address the time poverty of women and girls, because really that's what that video from UN Women was about. And in the absence of really understanding the roles and responsibilities of women and girls and how to address that time poverty so that we're limiting the time that they spend fetching water, fetching firewood, cooking, the responsibilities we saw from Alem of having to take care of her sibling and then being deprived the opportunity of getting further education, unless we create a space for women that really seeks to address all those issues and then unlocking capital for women to finance the scaling of these solutions, then we really will not be able to bridge the digital divide.
Thank you very much. We've had a bit from the local perspective or local interventions, but now I want to turn over to Doreen to give us a more of a global perspective. Across the world, women and girls are being left behind, and international bodies like the ITU are also looking into this. So please tell us a bit more about how you're coming at it from the global perspective.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm thrilled to be here in this beautiful city of Kigali. The ITU is both humbled and honored to be part of this First Ladies Summit here at Smart Africa, and to be surrounded by so many accomplished and powerful women. We commend His Excellency President Paul Kagame and the Executive Director of Smart Africa, Dr. Hamadoun Touré, for placing the digital gender gap front and center in this summit. As Dr. Touré said on Wednesday, it's time to move this continent. And as His Excellency President Paul Kagame said, it has to start with people. People have to be the starting point. People, and that means men and women. Together with men and women included, we can leapfrog to the fourth industrial revolution, and we can all participate in the digital economy. As we also heard from President Kagame yesterday, we need political will and a sense of urgency. We believe that the declaration that was launched this morning demonstrates that the political will is there. And as the Executive Director of UN Women highlighted, the digital gender gap is growing. So I believe that that shows us that the sense of urgency is also there. So we have the will, and we know it's urgent. 250 million fewer women are online than men, and that represents 20 times the population of Rwanda, and that gap is growing. That gap is biggest here in Africa, and it's time to close that gap. Throughout many of the sessions that we heard this week, we heard it's time to think big. We need to think big, and that means that we need big strategic interventions. But we need to also be local. We need to think local as well. We need to address the challenges with local content, lack of local languages. So think big, but act local. And we believe that we need to look at issues simultaneously around affordability, online safety, literacy, and content. The good news is that there's a lot happening. A lot happening in Rwanda, a lot happening in this room, and a lot happening on the continent of Africa. But the challenge is that a lot of those efforts are not scaling. and they're a bit fragmented. And what we believe is that we need a holistic approach. ITU, together with UN Women, has launched the Global Partnership for Gender Equality in the Digital Age, and we call it Equals, hashtag B equals, BE equals, and we make the sign the equal sign. And it's all about trying to achieve the Broadband Commission target of having equality of access by 2020. And that partnership is structured around 3 pillars: access, skills, and leadership. And it's very much in sync with the declaration that was adopted this morning. And we're very pleased through that partnership to be working with organizations such as GSMA, ITC, UNCTAD, and a number of other partners throughout the UN system, in academia, civil society, and others. I'd also like to highlight 2 other specific interventions that the ITU is working on. One that you know very well is Girls in ICT Day. And this is an area where we can promote awareness of the importance of digital literacy, digital skills, and also awareness on the importance and opportunities that careers in the STEM field can provide for young girls. Rwanda has been celebrating Girls in ICT Day for a number of years. I believe 160 countries in total have done celebrations. It's the 4th Thursday on the 4th month, and we encourage all of you to plan for next year your celebration. We also have a number of activities in the area of mentoring. There's lots of great mentors in this room, but I just wanted to highlight some of the work that we do at the ITU. We have something called NOW, the Network of Women for Radio Communications. We have a new initiative called WISE, and I don't know if our director for standards is in the room, Mr. Lee, he's over there. That's the Women in Standardization group. It's a new group where there's mentoring and sharing of experiences amongst women involved in the standardization sector. And the last thing I also wanted to mention was our annual GemTech Awards. And the executive director of UN Women mentioned that the other day. It's something that the ITU and UN Women have been running since 2014. We're thrilled because Rwanda has been with us since the start, and Her Excellency, the First Lady of Rwanda, Janet Kagame, was with us at the very first GemTech Awards in Busan, and that's where we recognize women, individuals, organizations, and governments that are actually using ICTs to empower, enable, and to advance women. And so with that, I will stop there. But I believe that by working together, all of us in this room, governments, academia, private sector, I really do think that we can make a difference and achieve the 3 principles in the Declaration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doreen. Sania, we were speaking earlier about the underpinning of education in all of this. And as yet another global body, UNESCO, this is something you've been thinking about. Please give us some of the highlights around some of the initiatives you've been championing from the global level and how they're translating to the local context.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues. I want to thank the organizers of this first ever summit, and I want to thank especially the First Lady of Rwanda, who insisted that UNESCO be part of this meeting, so thank you. I was with the First Lady of Rwanda and the First Lady of Mali just 5 days ago in another part of the world where they also endorsed another declaration. That one was on girls' education to prevent violent extremism. So it gives me great pleasure to be here to take part in this one as well. Thank you very much on behalf of UNESCO. I want to address the issue of the growing gender gap in ICTs from a broader perspective, because I think this digital gender gap is part and parcel of the more general gender gap in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And as one of the unique UN agencies, UNESCO does work a lot on the sciences, natural sciences, as well as social and human sciences. And we have quite a few initiatives that address specifically the gender gap and the plight of girls and women. Because we don't have time for me to mention all of them, I'll focus on 4, which I think are very relevant for the purposes of this meeting. The first one I want to mention is a long-standing public-private partnership with L'Oréal. And this program is called the UNESCO L'Oréal Women in Science program. It started out as a small program which aimed to highlight the achievements of 5 women scientists from around the world every year. It has grown into quite a comprehensive program which still has the component of women scientist laureates, 2 of whom have gone on to win a Nobel Prize in their respective fields. So we are very proud of that fact. But we also have international and national scholarships for women scientists, along with the networking and mentoring programs within the initiative. A second program I want to mention is actually one we launched with our sister agency, UN Women, and it was an idea that was launched by the executive director of UN Women and my director general, Ms. Irina Bokova, who was here on the first day. And this one is about reaching adolescent girls and young women through education and empowering them through education, which has a very significant ICT component, thanks to the insistence of Ms. Fumzile, who has a great passion for ICTs in education. A third program I want to mention is one that was launched by Ms. Bokova when she first took over the post of Director General at UNESCO. It's called the Global Partnership for Girls and Women's Education. Within that program, we again have several public-private partnership initiatives, and one stands out. It is the one we started implementing in Senegal to reach illiterate adult women. Because according to UNESCO research, we have a serious problem which is not going away in terms of adult illiteracy. The number of adult illiterates in the world is close to 800 million, which is a big number. And the percentage of women in this big number is 2/3, which has not changed in the last 20 years, even by 1 single digit, which is a very alarming fact. So in this program, in this initiative, we partnered up with a private sector company to reach adult illiterate women in rural areas especially, through the use of ICTs. And allow me to give you one anecdote. I visited one of the project areas and I met a woman by the name of Rokeya. I never forget her name. She was in her 40s and already a grandmother. And when she showed me how she could use her her mobile phone to send messages to her husband who was working in another part of the country, we both had tears in our eyes because she was explaining to me that with this skill that she recently gained, she was able to help her children and grandchildren with their schoolwork. She was able to send messages to her husband, help other women in the village do the same, and she had become an important personality in the village that the chiefs were consulting about every issue. So I saw the impact of this one device on the life of a woman and how it changed her own image of herself. So it's a very precious program for us. Last but not least, I want to mention a program that we launched last year, again, public-private partnership. In this one, we target not the girls themselves, but the teachers who teach girls and boys in schools. Because we believe that through our studies, there's a lot of unconscious bias and stereotyping in the classroom, which is committed unwittingly, unknowingly, by the teachers, by the school administrators, and sometimes by ministry officials. So we are trying to train them how to reach girls, how to teach them STEM subjects, and how to make sure that girls as well as boys benefit from these programs. So I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As we wrap up, I'll ask each of you to just share with us, now that we've heard about great initiatives, starting from the local level, some at the global level, how do we measure progress to make sure we actually are able to account for all these efforts and how they're actually empowering women and girls through ICT? So if I may start with you, Dr. Monique, and make our way back down the panel.
Thank you. New Faces, New Voices Rwanda chapter, we are part of a Pan-African network of New Faces, New Voices chapters. And we are also very active globally through the Alliance for Financial Inclusion. And as chapters, we are coming together, learning from each other, and also committing to push the data issue or strategy of how you monitor what is happening and who is doing what, because really with evidence, then you can drive policies. So I think really and this is a work that is landing on the tables of the central banks, because they are also in charge of financial inclusion. And I'm very delighted that I see around deputy governors and governors, when they discuss these issues of financial inclusion, they are really getting on at the bottom, and especially mobile and financial services in specific, and digital financial services in general. So monitoring is going to happen through mainstreaming the issue of gender and minding about gender gaps in whatever we are doing. And just a final note, for those who wish to have more details about this initiative of Rugori Fund, I would wish to announce that we'll have a luncheon later on today after the closing. And if you have been invited, you're welcome to come and you'll have an opportunity to discuss more about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mple?
So one of the things that I just really want to talk about is the fact that there's already so much that is in fact working. There's already a lot that's being done. And I think first and foremost, we have to acknowledge that and then talk about how we can scale up what's being done. And I think Rwanda is an amazing example when it comes to this. First of all, one of the things that we hear a lot about is just political leadership. I mean, here, this is where His Excellency President Kagame has been exceptional in being a champion for women and girls through the He for She campaign and then the other work that he does. So I think we need more men to champion girls in ICT, women in STEM. And we need to be able to scale this across the continent. The other thing that we see, especially in Rwanda, is just how holistic the pipeline is for girls in ICT and women in STEM, all the way from the One Laptop Per Child initiative that Her Excellency, the First Lady, talked about, to obviously the work that the Imbuto Foundation is doing in Girls Education Campaign. And then through the best performing girls and celebrating young Rwandan achievers, we've been able to see just very dynamic girls in ICT be able to come up out of Rwanda and be able to found really amazing ICT businesses. And so these are some of the efforts that need to be scaled up. And then when you look at the secondary school system here, where Rwanda has already been able to achieve gender parity when it comes to science and technology, where they have a 50% parity of girls also studying science and technology, you're seeing this through just the excellent Gashora Girls Academy. We had the opportunity to engage with the leadership there and just really hear about the curriculum, which obviously follows the curriculum already in Rwanda. But I think these are the kinds of things that we need to look at, is how are countries implementing curricula that actually emphasizes science and technology, STEM, ICT. I think that's already being done here. And then I've had the pleasure, obviously, to be able to be a judge for Ms. Geek Africa and listen to the most amazing ideas and innovation coming from young a girl, some of them as young as 16 years old, who are talking about innovation, whether it's in digital banking, it's in e-money, it's in digital health, the Internet of Things, machine learning. They're talking about algorithms and GPS and geoengineering systems. I mean, just the fact that we have young women in Africa that already have these very bold ideas, we need to be able to unlock angel funding, seed capital to promote young women so that they can develop these types of tools. And then, like I said, finally, with new faces, new voices, unlocking capital. So that's been done. I think what we need to be able to do is just collectively look at what's being done, be able to collect the data, because one of the things that's still really lacking is gender disaggregated data. We need to focus a lot of just big data and analytics towards measuring how we can continue to improve that pipeline of girls in ICT and women in STEM. And I think for us at the Include Her Innovation Center for Women, this is really the space that we feel that we're going to be able to fill to continue to really improve the efforts on women in technology.
Thank you, Pule. Doreen?
Thank you. Of course, we believe that you have to have targets, right? And you have to be able to measure. If you really want to make change, you have to have a baseline, you have to be able to measure it, right? And that's the only way that we will be able to move the needle. I think it's great, as Minister Jean Philbert was telling us the other day, you have 30% women participating in Smart Africa this year. That's great, up from 27%. Hopefully in 2 years' time, that can be at 50% or more. But measuring is really important, and when it comes to the ICT sector, I think that we all need to do more to have better data. And we need better gender disaggregated data to really understand the gaps in the ICT sector. And that's something I think that we all have a role to play in. We also think it's important that we make commitments, that governments make commitments to include gender dimensions in their broadband policies. At the ITU, we track the countries that are highlighting broadband, gender in their broadband policies, and we're discussing this with UN Women, looking at universal service funds and highlighting which countries are targeting funds for closing the digital gender gap. We also have something that we're doing, which is called the Gender Digital Inclusion Map, where we have mapped out already some 700 initiatives around the world. Initiatives that are targeting access, skills, and leadership. And we hope to have initiatives everywhere. We invite organizations to contribute to that mapping. And through that, we hope to be able to monitor and show progress there. I would also say that within the UN, we have something called the Partnership for Measuring ICT for D, and we're working through that partnership with UN Women, also with Unesco, really trying to ensure that we are achieving SDG 5 and, of course, SDG 9 on universal and affordable access. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, Sonia.
Thank you. I want to go back and remind ourselves the clip that we watched before we heard from the Executive Director of UN Women. According to UNESCO research, there are two main factors for the gap, not only in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and ICTs, but also in other spheres of life. The first one is really inequalities at home. As we saw in the clip, the girl child is called upon to do domestic chores and spend her time helping the mother, and the boy child has more time to himself and to do other things. So unless we address inequalities at home, we will not be able to address inequalities outside the home in an effective and meaningful way. So we really have to think about a rebalancing of responsibilities in the domestic sphere. The second big challenge is what I already alluded to. It's the subconscious bias and stereotypes. When you talk to people and ask about what image they have when you say the word scientist, you will more often than not get the response that it's the image of an eccentric, absent-minded man who would come to mind. So we really have to start thinking about how we think about these specific categories. I will give you another anecdote. In 2013, there was an obituary in the New York Times about a woman by the name of Yvonne Brill. Some of you may already know this name. The obituary began, and I quote, "She made a mean beef stroganoff. She followed her husband from job to job and took 8 years off from work to raise her 3 children." So at this point, you wonder, why is the New York Times publishing an obituary for a woman who sounds like a very nice wife and a very good mother? Well, it's only in the second paragraph that we learn the reason for the obituary. She was a brilliant rocket scientist who invented a propulsion system to keep communications satellites in orbit. And that's why the obituary was there. We never think of men in this way. We don't know about their marital status usually. We certainly do not know about the domestic chores that they are good at. So it really has to be something that we start thinking about seriously in terms of changing all these mental images and pictures that we have in our heads. So UNESCO is doing a lot of work in that area. We are trying to fight against stereotyping and unconscious bias through education, but also through our programs in the area of communication and information, because we also believe that media has a big role to play to change stereotypes, and also through our work in the area of culture. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you very much to all our distinguished panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, what we've had are initiatives that exist. I believe that by the time we come to the next Transform Africa Summit, we will be talking about more, including many other initiatives in the room represented here today, and more importantly, that we'll be able to show how we're measuring progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our panelists. Thank you for that rich discussion. I think some of the takeaways from the first part of this Smart Women Summit, we need to measure where we are today, to understand exactly how many women do we have in science, technology, engineering, and math, and what we need to be doing to close that gap. We need to obviously understand the deeply felt needs in our communities that they face that would inspire technology solutions as well as bring more girls into this area. We need to set measurable and time-bound targets that we can track progress by the next Smart Women Summit. And I think most importantly, to the men in the room and everywhere, you are a critical part of elevating women and girls, starting in the home, ensuring that we are equally doing the chores, as well as having equal support in the education we want to seek, as well as in the office to close the gender digital divide. And finally, we need to support and scale initiatives to grow women and girls in STEM. So this concludes the first part of the Women's Summit. We now move to the last part, which is the crowning of the first ever Miss Geek Africa, an initiative that we hope shall be growing to across the continent. I hope that we will have Miss Geek competitions in every single country, and then they can all come. I'm sorry? Yes, I hope every country will start in the village, and we will be having a congregation of Miss Geeks from across the continent to compete for Miss Geek Africa. Before we begin this part, I would like to request that they show a video on the journey to Miss Geek Africa. Thank you.
contacts, like your parents, your siblings, and emergency services like the police and ambulances. And most importantly, your presumed attacker remains unaware of the whole thing. Her CP's motto is #HerLifeMatters, because it does. Hello, my name is Ruth Waiganjo, Rwanda, aged 18 years old. Water is life. And there is at least a case of water theft globally accepted. From that, I came up with a system which will detect theft as early as it happens.
Hello, I'm Leah Kimana, currently a student in College of Science and Technology. I'm in computer software engineering. I'm 23 years old. 2 months ago, I was traveling from Kigali up to Zimbabwe. It's the last stop of Kimirongo. I took 2 hours and 6 minutes to reach there. Never miss a bus. This is a solution. BSS is a web and mobile-based application that harnesses technology to improve means of public transportation in Kigali City. Our committee will download an application called BSS. Track in that route, your bus will be 8 number. After tracking the bus, you will know the first place in it. You will know how many minutes it remains to reach at your bus stop. This is a solution. BSS. Let's make Kigali smart city.
I look forward to rewinding the top 3, and I look forward to seeing them pursue these ideas further. They're going out to be ambassadors of this great career, as well as joining us in continuing to inspire more girls into science, technology, and math.
When you look across the continent, there's still a lot of opportunities to do something. And it's like a sparkle. We don't know what it's going to give or what is at the end, how big it will be, but we believe that it's really putting the right seed.
Thank you once again. So I will walk you through how we are going to do the rewarding. I'm going to call upon the final 8 girls who made it out of all those applicants to the finals of Miss Geek Africa. And then after which we will go into the rewarding. All the girls will be getting will be recognized with a certificate, and our top 3 girls will be rewarded by our distinguished First Ladies. And then we will, and also receive a certificate from the country director for UNDP, who are our great sponsors. So I would like to please welcome the girls to walk to their designated place. And they are Redemptor Inema from Rwanda, Alice Mukashaka, Salamata Manmane Sani from Niger, Daniela Owase from Kigali, from Rwanda, Christo Omani, Delphine Michomiza, Leah, and Ruth from Kenya. Please stand there. Oh yeah. Ugumehas, just stay down there, sorry. I would like to welcome our First Ladies who will be rewarding the girls up to the stage. I'll be calling upon you, yes, I'll be calling upon you in order of the prizes. So please, First Lady of Sao Tome, First Lady of the Republic of Mali, and our First Lady, Mrs. Jeanette Kagame of Rwanda. Welcome. Thank you so much. So we're going to start off with our 5 finalists. They will be coming up to be recognized by our First Ladies, Country Director, UNDP, as well, who will be giving them their certificates. Yes. I will be calling them up in the order of those certificates and the order of the winner. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Redemptor.
She and proud.
Thank you. So Redemptor Inema, please come to be recognized for your great work of making it to the final. Next is Alice Mukashaka, Salamatu Mamane Sani, Daniela Uwase, and Christo Omani are some of our 5 finalists who made it this far. So that means that those ladies standing in the corner are our finalists, and one of them is going to be Miss Geek Africa. So our second runner-up is Delphine Michomiza. She will be receiving 1 million Rwandan francs, a laptop, among other things. And she's going to be rewarded by the First Lady of Southtown. Okay. Our first runner-up, and the Miss Geek Rwanda 2017, Leah Akiman. Okay. She wins 2 million Rwandan francs, and thanks to Rura, she will be traveling to Busan at the International Telecommunications ITU World Congress. Congratulations, Leah. And that means the first ever Miss Geek Africa is Ruth Waiganjo from Kenya. She wins 3 million Rwandan francs. She too will be traveling to the ITU World in South Korea, thanks to the Smart Africa making that happen. All the girls are receiving a laptop, thanks to Dot Rwanda. And our winners getting an iPad, and a phone, a modem, etc. Congratulations once again, ladies. It has been a pleasure watching you go through this. You're certainly all winners for making it this far. So thank you very much. Then we're going to be going out for a group photo as we go to the next session. Please remain seated with just a brief intermission before we go into the closing ceremony. Thank you once again for being here as part of the inaugural Smart Africa, Smart Women and Girls Summit. And now I would like to welcome Bonnie Tunya, who will be our Master of Ceremonies for the next session.
Round of applause to the winners of Miss Geek 2017, please. So we're going to go very quickly to the photo session right outside. We're not taking a break. We just have probably a health break of about 5 minutes. Then the closing ceremony will begin. So take a quick break. We'll be back here in just under 5. Thank you.